Chapter 10. The third miracle. The sign of grace. John chapter 5, verses 1 to 16. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool, and troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked, and on the same day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, It is the Sabbath day, it is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. Then asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. The man departed, and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus, and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. John chapter 15, verse 16. This is an unusual episode because of the setting, the Pool of Bethesda. There were a number of such pools in ancient Jerusalem. Then, as now, people went to such spas for their sometimes real benefits. This particular pool has been discovered and excavated. It is on the property of the White Fathers near St. Anne's Church. A large pool, it was between 165 to 220 feet wide by 315 feet long, with a central partition. There were colonnades on the 4 sides and at the partition. We are told that an angel at times troubled the water, and that the first one to step in was healed. Verse 4. Modernist scholars agree that this statement was not a part of the original text. Clearly, they do not want to believe in this. Of course, there is not much that they will accept as historical in this Gospel or in the others. Tertullian, circa AD 200, attests to this verse, as do others. William Hendrickson, in The Gospel of John, Volume 1, 1953, sees it as probably historical, while others, such as Leon Morris, see possibly natural factors as responsible for the troubling of the waters. Very clearly, the temptation has been a real one to discard this angel. This is a very unusual kind of miracle, obviously, but should by no means be dropped on that account. It is a part of the received text, and it does have attestation. If we try to understand this miracle and sign, we will hopefully come to know the significance of every part of it. This miracle can be dated. The feast was on a Sabbath day, and in AD 29, the first day of Purim, as various scholars have pointed out, was March the 19th. The book of Esther gives us the origin of Purim, Esther chapter 9, verses 17 to 18. It was a time of rejoicing over the victory of God's enemies, and gifts were given one to another, and to the poor. Esther chapter 9, verses 19 and 22. If the common conclusion of scholars that this feast of the Jews was Purim, then our Lord was giving a gift to a poor man, healing. Whether or not it was Purim, it was a gift, but Purim makes it especially appropriate. Returning to the angel, his presence was unusual and has little in the way of parallels elsewhere in the Bible. Why would God send an angel to supply miracles to a soon-to-be doomed nation? Is there a parallel between the cripple and Judea? Both are very close to the source of all healing, and both are also very far from it. The man was partially paralyzed or partially crippled. His infirmity was of 38 years in duration. It could have been a condition which began in his childhood, and he might now be no more than a man in his early 40s. Jesus asked him, "Wilt thou be made whole?" Verse 6. J. Stephen Hart very ably summed up the exchange. Christ does not receive a direct answer. The man feels himself blamed and makes a grumbling excuse for not even trying the effect of the water. He tried in the past often enough, but he never got through the crowd in time, and he lost hope and gave up the attempt. He has accepted the life of a professional beggar, which he finds sufficient to bring him a sustenance wage of good clothing and a lodging somewhere near, though he may do some chores to earn that. He comes to Bethesda now for the sake of social intercourse with people like himself. Christ sometimes asks for faith in his applicants. This time it is hope that is lacking. He is reconciled to idle poverty, though he will not acknowledge that he prefers it to work, for that might deprive him of the alms he expects to receive. The external malady is but the sign of the spiritual one, and its unfortunate cause, though it should not have been an effective one. Hart is right. The answer to the question, "Wilt thou be made whole?" should have been a quick and spontaneous yes. We do not know how long this cripple had been there at the pool. 38 years was the length of his malady, not of his presence at Bethesda. In verse 16, John tells us that this miracle was seen by the religious leaders as a total affront, and they decided then on Jesus' death. At the same time, it is for John the third sign. The parallel between Israel or Judea and this cripple is a very important one. Both were close to the source of healing, and neither truly wanted it. In Luke chapter 16, verse 31, our Lord says of the ungodly, "If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead." They were not persuaded by an angel's miracles, nor Christ's, nor by his resurrection. Why should they believe when their faith was opposed to God in the name of God? By healing this man, Jesus so angered the religious and civil leaders that they sought his death. Verse 16. The greater the good, the greater the hatred on the part of the ungodly. They will only have God on their terms, meaning God is their slave or not at all. But Jesus healed the man, even though the man did not ask for healing. He told him, "Rise, take up thy bed and walk." Verse 8. The cripple was at once stopped for working on the Sabbath by carrying his bed or pallet. He was as yet ignorant of the identity of Jesus. Jesus, finding him, told the man, "Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, or stop your sinning, lest a worse thing come unto thee." Verse 14. We are not told the nature of his sinning, if it had a particular form. The cured cripple went at once to the leaders and identified Jesus as his healer. Verse 15, which tells us how poor in character he was. This healing was an act of grace. All Christ's miracles were, but this instance was particularly so, because it was not even asked for. In Luke chapter 17, verses 11 to 19, we are told of 10 lepers whom Christ healed and ordered to report to the priests in order to be certified as healed. Afterward, only one of the 10 came back to Jesus to thank him. Here, the angel in the pool's turbulence and Christ at the pool's side gave a special grace to Judea, and it was rejected. Christ's life and work was a far greater miracle and a revelation of God than a single troubling of the waters. But the people, in both cases, rejected God the healer, nor were they truly interested in healing. Our Lord's miracle and sign meant simply this: be healed or perish. Jerusalem, rejecting the healer, was given over to destruction. The sign to our world is the same: be healed by Christ or perish. In Isaiah chapter 57, verses 18 to 21, we read, "I have seen his ways, and will heal him. I will lead him also, and restore comforts unto him and to his mourners. I create the fruit of his lips. Peace, peace to him that is far off, and to him that is near, saith the Lord, and I will heal him. But the wicked are like the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, saith my God, to the wicked. The contrast between a do-nothing Sabbath and a Sabbath surrendered to God's healing and working is like the difference between night and day. Ernst Henschen said of this miracle that the religious leaders are unmoved by the miracle, either in this point or in what follows. They are concerned only with the observance of the Sabbath law. When Jesus healed the man sick with palsy, he said, "Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee." Matthew chapter 9, verse 2, a statement repeated to other men whom he healed. Here the remark differs. "Behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee." John chapter 5, verse 14. This warning could have been made to all Israel, even as it is now applicable to the whole world. In Hart's words, our Lord's warning had reference to the crippled man's sin. The sin is the helplessness, hopelessness, and lack of moral energy that we have noted in him. This is our feeling also, and one we commit all too often. This miracle is a sign of God's sovereign grace. It can heal the undeserving, and it can heal those who have no interest in it. To depend on ourselves is to depend on nothing. Our mainstay and only hope is God's sovereign grace to the undeserving. Where that grace is external only, there is no hope. Where it is given to the whole man, it means redemption. At every point, this episode reveals the supernatural. In verse 6, we see that our Lord knew the man and his history before he spoke to him. He also knows us, and the very hairs of our head are all numbered. Matthew chapter 10, verse 30, so that we are totally in his providential care and grace. This grace was extended to this cripple, and it revealed to Israel the sign of his covenantal mercy, if they would hear. But they would not.